Hey guys, today I want to take a look at Texas in 2024 because I think Texas has a very good chance at flipping for the Democratic Party in 2024. Looking at this on the electoral map, if Texas flipped blue, that would give Democrats every single election in the next couple of decades, because these blue states that are not going to flip anytime soon, you give them Texas, Democrats win every election. So before we go any further, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So taking a look at the electoral map here, Democrats 230 electoral votes from their pretty much safe states. Nevada, you could argue it's not, but I think it's pretty safe for the Democrats. They basically win everything there. For the Republicans, you have most of the states in the center of the country, the red wall. I've added Ohio, Iowa. I don't see Democrats winning those states in the next couple of decades. But for the Democrats, they win Texas, they win the election. Besides Nevada, I really can't find a state that you would argue that the Republicans would flip in this scenario. So Democrats win Texas, they win the election. That is terrible for the Republicans, because if Democrats win Texas, they will probably win Arizona and Georgia as well as probably North Carolina. So really, the implications of a blue Texas are terrible for the Republican Party. And, the only good thing for them is that Florida is moving to the right. Florida in the last couple of years has been shifting gradually to the right. You have Republican governor, Republican senators, and Republican on the presidential level. So Florida, although it's been a swing state for a very long time, it's always been a little bit more in favor of the Republicans. 3.4% in 2020 for Trump. You saw 1.2% in 2016. It was barely blue for Obama in 2012 and a little bit better for him in 2008. But the state of Florida has always been much more red than blue, although it could definitely go both ways. However, as politics gets more polarizing, I think that there's a much smaller likelihood of those voters flipping between red and blue now, as we saw in Iowa and Ohio. So basically, I don't think Texas will be blue in 2024 on the presidential level. If I had to bet, I would bet against a blue Texas in 2024 just because of the disappointing numbers for Democrats there in 2020. It was definitely a lot worse than I expected. I predicted, I believe, around 2%. It ended up being around 5% for the Republican Party. So the state of Texas, it was good for the Democrats. They were able to decrease that margin once again by around 4%. As you can see in 2016, the margin was 9%. In 2020, it was 5.6%. In 2012, look at that, 15.8%. So Democrats did all right in Texas in 2020. But I think they could have definitely done better. And then in 2028, I think that's when Democrats have a very good chance. 2032, definitely, I think it's a very strong chance because demographically, Texas is moving to the left. If you had the most generic Democrat and Republicans run against each other, the Republican would probably win right now. But, look 10, 20 years into the future, the state of Texas will be blue, just like Arizona will be blue, just like Georgia has already gone blue, and just like North Carolina will probably be blue just in a little bit. Florida moving to the right, and the Rust Belt, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, these are not sustainable states for the Democratic Party. Yes, they were great under Obama. Michigan, 9.5% in 2012. Go back to 2008. 16.5% in Michigan. Go back to 2004, you saw Kerry by 3.4%, 2000, Bush by 5.1%. So, although it's great under Obama, it was a strong blue margin. These states, they are not as reliable anymore. In 2016, they all flipped. 2020, Joe Biden, he barely won them back. 1.2%, 2.8%, 0.63%. So, trying to win the election with the Rust Belt is no longer a sustainable option for the Democratic Party. They've lost Iowa, they lost Ohio. They're going to lose these three states. The future for the Democratic Party is in the South. And today I want to take a look at why Beto O'Rourke will beat Ted Cruz in 2022. Or not 2022, sorry about that, 2024. In 2024, it's going to be big. It's going to be a big election if Beto O'Rourke runs. I think he probably will run. He ran a pretty unsuccessful presidential campaign. I think that this Senate seat is still something that he can really get running against Ted Cruz. If you look back at 2018, the Senate election here in the state of Texas, Ted Cruz won 50.9% of the votes. Beto O'Rourke, 48.3%. So Cruz won the state of Texas, one of the reddest states, and has not gone to a Democrat since 1976. He won by 2.6%. Ted Cruz is a really unlikable person. He received basically no senator endorsements, no senator in the Senate. He worked with them every single day. In 2016, no senator endorsed Ted Cruz until the very end of the election. He received no support among the people that he worked with on a daily basis until the very end, until it was just him and Trump. So, really, Ted Cruz is a very unlikable person, and we'll go over his approval rating, and especially after the Cancun trip, because that's really why I'm talking about this. After that, Beto O'Rourke has increased his popularity with what he's done. Ted Cruz's popularity among Republicans dropped, I believe, 23%. A quarter of Republicans that supported him previously do not support Ted Cruz anymore, just over the last couple of days. So in 2024, it's looking terrible for Ted Cruz. I mean, he went to Cancun, and then he came back, he lied about it, then he said he lied about it, and then he tried blaming it on his kids. So it's just all around been terrible for the senator. And then if you look at the margins for Ted Cruz, just to show you how small it is, the last Democrat to win was Lloyd Bentsen in 1988. He was the last Democrat to win in the state of Texas here. And if you look at all of these Republicans winning the Senate seats, John Cornyn, the senior Republican in the Senate for Texas, 2014, won by a pretty strong margin. Forward 4 years, incumbent Ted Cruz wins by, 2.6%. In 2012, Ted Cruz did all right, won 56.5% of the votes. 2018, it was horrible for Ted Cruz. And, I mean, look at this margin. You can't find a Republican that won by a smaller margin unless you go back to 1978. So, really, and that was when Texas was a blue state. In 1978, Texas was blue. Jimmy Carter just won the state. So, really, no Democrat has won a state and, won a seat in Texas in a very, very long time. And if you look at the 2020 results between John Cornyn and MJ Hegar, so this is the other seat. And John Cornyn was up for re-election in 2020. He was actually afraid that he was going to lose this race. I don't think he should have been worried at all. But MJ Hegar, she was a very average candidate, and she lost by a little bit less than 10%. But John Cornyn, he is, much better liked than Ted Cruz. So these decreasing margins for the Republicans, along with Ted Cruz's basic unpopularity, and the fact that, his popularity has taken a huge dive in the last couple of days, is looking terrible for him. It's looking terrible for his re-election. If you have someone like MJ Hegar running, maybe it would look all right. If she ran against Ted Cruz, I think Cruz would still definitely win. But if you have Beto O'Rourke, he's very, very popular in Texas. He did terrible in his presidential campaign, but in Texas, he is still very, very popular, especially among Democrats, many independents, and Beto O'Rourke will come for Ted Cruz. I do think O'Rourke will win against Ted Cruz, and I think that he will run against Ted Cruz. Of course, a lot can change, but right now, Ted Cruz is not a good candidate for Texas. And if you were to take a look at Ted Cruz's approval rating, so basically this is February 20th to the 22nd, just a couple of days after that Cancun incident for Ted Cruz, if you look at this, his approval rating, so this is his total approval rating among constituents that he serves, 24% of Texans approve of Ted Cruz, 24%. Less than 1 in 4 people think Ted Cruz is doing a good job. And that's worse than Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Donald Trump. That is a terrible approval rating for Ted Cruz. His disapproval, 49%. Almost a majority of people do not approve of Ted Cruz in his state. How is he going to win re-election with 24% approval? I mean, it's probably going to increase in the next couple of days, next couple of months, years, really. But I mean, it's 24% at this point. It's not looking good for him at all. He's lower than Mitch McConnell, lower than Susan Collins. So I think that he's in trouble for 2024. If you want to look by party ID, so by their political party, 78% of Democrats don't approve of Ted Cruz. Among Republicans, 19% disapprove. Among Republicans, 53% approve. So only a very slight majority of people of your own party that you fight so strongly for. I mean, he is really partisan for the Republican Party. 53% approve of him. And then, for Not Sure, 28%. But he has lost 23%, I believe that was the number. 23% of Republicans that supported him before no longer support Ted Cruz. And along with his, vote to not convict Donald Trump both times, especially the second time, as well as, his vote to not certify the election results in several states in January on the 6th. So I think that really has not helped them at all. Um, Extremist Trump supporters have already supported Ted Cruz, but he's alienating the more moderate Republicans in his state, in his party, and I think that's when he wins by a little bit over 2% in his last election, and now his approval has taken a dive by 23% among his own party. I think that he needs to really rethink what he's doing. And this is a really good opportunity for Democrats. In 2018, Beto O'Rourke, ran a very good campaign. He went short, but he got really famous from losing, like Stacey Abrams losing to Brian Kemp. He got really famous just from losing. But I think in 2024, I think that he can have a very, very good chance at actually winning the seat in 4 years from now. So I wanted to compare Beto O'Rourke to Joe Biden just to show you that Beto O'Rourke really does do very well. And keep in mind, in 2018, the Republican Party gained 2 seats. They gained seats in the Senate. So 2018 was a good midterm year for the Republican Party. And if you look at Ted Cruz's margins against Joe Biden, so let's take a city like Dallas. You have Dallas County, 66% vote for Beto O'Rourke in 2018. 4 years later, Joe Biden, 65%. This is a big county, so a lot of people. You go to Houston or Harris County, so 58% for Beto O'Rourke. You go to Joe Biden, 56%. If you want to find another, big city, let's go to Antonio. So you have Travis County, 74%. San Antonio or Austin for Joe Biden, 71%. So, Beto O'Rourke is very popular in Texas, did much better than Joe Biden. The only place that really Joe Biden did pretty poorly in is the southern region here. If you look at the shift from 2016, look at those lines. 55 points more Republican, 40 points more Republican, 39. And basically the entire southern region here has moved so much to the right. And then if you look at the urban areas here, Dallas County, or the suburbs of those big cities, it has moved to the left. So, but look at a county like this. A couple thousand votes. This Kennedy County, around 200 people voted. So, really not that much of a deal there, but really Beto O'Rourke does just do better than Joe Biden everywhere around Texas. And I think that in 2024 he's pretty much set up to win. I think he will win 2024 if he does run, and I do think that he will run. I think it's an opportunity that he's not going to just let pass. President, I'm not sure. He's not that great of a presidential candidate. So really, this is looking pretty bad for Ted Cruz, a state that's moving to the left combined with Cruz's unpopularity. And just the fact that Beto O'Rourke is a very compassionate Democrat. He really appeals to a lot of voters. He's not extreme to the left or, to the right. He appeals to many independents in Texas, and I think that Ted Cruz will really have to do a lot of work if he wants to win his re-election there. As for the presidency here in Texas, I do think that in 2024, it doesn't matter too much who runs. I don't think Texas will go blue. That's my honest opinion. The margins just aren't there. 5% when Joe Biden was almost leading in the polls for a pretty long time there in 2020. Really, I don't think that's going to cut it. We'll take a look at the data that we have in 4 years or, really 2-3 years. But Texas, I think it's going to remain blue 1-2 more times, and then it's probably going to become a blue state and flip for the first time, which would basically allow Democrats to win landslide margins, winning the Rust Belt, winning Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, along with Texas. That would be a pretty big win for the Democratic Party. So, you basically have what is right now the South moving to the left, the Rust Belt moving to the right, but Democrats do seem to be hanging on there. They do have the advantage in terms of governors and senators there, as well as presidential voting. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. That will basically be it. We went through the 2018 Senate election and talking about how this will change in 2024, especially with Ted Cruz being, wildly unpopular. So, that'll be it. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below whether or not you think Cruz or O'Rourke will win in 4 years. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Make sure you join my Discord server if you haven't either. Link to which at the very top of the description below. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.